This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treats and Sakurako. More on them a little later. Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. And yes, while the title of the video and the thumbnail may lead to some negative opinions by myself, supported by some data over in China, but rest assured, right? If you love Wriothesley, don't let this video discourage you from building him, playing him. It's simply a trend that really doesn't look well for this character. Now, I'm going to be laying out all the possible reasons as to why Wriothesley has pretty much flopped in CN and why likely in the future he will not be able to compete against the other Fontaine carries. But let's just start from the facts, all right? Wriothesley has flopped in CN. CN players have always been known as players who are more meta-centric. They want the best there is to offer. They're more picky when it comes to the stats of the character as opposed to just the aesthetics and the character and its backstory and how they look, whatever. Don't get me wrong, plenty of people who love Wriothesley in China love him to death. In fact, they would go C6, R5 for him, no questions asked. But if you just look at Wriothesley comparative to Neuvillette, because I know a lot of people are going to use this as an excuse saying, well, right after Wriothesley is going to be Farina, so I have to draw a comparison to Neuvillette. Even though their design philosophy and concept are the same, meaning that hoyoverse is incentivizing a C1R1 pairing for both of these characters.
But before that, Beluga-chan popping in again to introduce today's sponsor of this video, Tokyo Treat and Sakurako. Experience Japan from the comfort of your home through these snack boxes. Autumn is in full throttle. Both boxes are carefully curated to experience the changing season by providing you popular and local Japanese snacks. This month's Tokyo Treat brings you Mount Fuji Snack Venture. From Mount Fuji shaped confectionaries, candies inspired by Mount Fuji's luxury fruit lines, and my highlight, this wasabi snack that will almost knock me out. And for Sakurako, they have partnered with Saitama City with a special limited design box. Saitama City is only a step away from Tokyo, where tradition, nature, and the arts are seemingly interwoven. All the snacks carefully picked to embody the Saitama experience. Pairing well with the tea of this month, Tapon Sayama Tea. The tableware item comes with the Wasaka crane chopstick, a beautiful handcrafted item with the crane design that symbolizes longevity and good fortune. This is me enjoying the goodies outside. Personally, I really enjoyed the wasabi potato crisp and the pear gummy. The sweetness of the pear helped me clear the intense kick of that wasabi crisp. Alright, that is it for me. Don't forget to use the code below to get yours today.
Now, if you guys just take a look at both of these characters and their stats, you would quickly realize C1R1 is cracked for them. They are insane characters if you can get them to C1R1. But to say that they are equal is a bit of a stretch. Neuvillette differs from Wriothesley in that his ease of use and upper ceiling is just phenomenal. And we're not even talking about their kits yet. Like the inner details of their kits and the complexity it brings also is a big reason why a lot of people have chosen to go with Neuvillette over Wriothesley. Now, yes, when Neuvillette was out, Wriothesley was not completely finalized yet. Yes, there were air quote leaks involved, but people didn't really know what Wriothesley was going to be capable of. Now, here's the big question mark, right? Because there will be future characters coming, we don't know how these characters are going to pair with those in the future, but as it stands right now, there is a clear winner. So those, I believe, are the hard, irrefutable facts, right? When it comes to character comparison, stat comparison, Wriothesley is inferior to Neuvillette. But what about Lyney? All right, so here's the part of the video we're going to jump a little into Fantasyland. Lyney performed better than Wriothesley. Now, if you're going to point at Lyney and say, well, Lyney is definitively a better character, well, that's when people are going to slap a question mark on there. I'm not prompting you guys to go to war in the comment section. Please, I hope nothing breaks out like Lyney versus Wriothesley fandoms having an all-out war in the comment section. But understand this. To say Lyney is weak is just false. To say Wriothesley is weak is just false. But their banners are not comparable to Neuvillette. Now, partially it's also because Neuvillette's role in the story is far more important than both Lyney and Wriothesley. So just from that alone, you're going to know Neuvillette's going to have a huge fandom. And on top of that, he is currently sitting comfortably as the #1 carry for Fontaine. Neuvillette's current position is similar to Alhatham's position in Sumeru. Now I know a lot of people are going to debate on that, but just looking at stat, Alhaitham has performed consistently the best apart from its Archon. So I'm just gonna nest him right at the top of the best damage carry that Sumeru has to offer. Neuvillette so far is the equivalent of Alhaitham, and if you look at their banners, yes, I'm talking about Alhaitham rerun banner with Zhao comparative to Neuvillette's first fresh banner. They're actually very similar to each other in terms of sales as well. So when it comes to that aspect of the stats, I believe it is supported by people's wallets. Now let's talk about the inner workings of the kit. So here's why I think really Wriothesley has flopped within CN. It's because of the complexity of his kit. Now a lot of people would say, well, that's part of the pros. How can you say that's a con? Having to brawl your weight, punch enemies into the ground while also synergizing with potential teams. Like, people would even argue that Wriothesley has more synergies, right? There's more ways you can play him, both now and in the future, potentially when Natlan rolls around more Pyro units, right? Wriothesley could come back and deliver a sweet uppercut to Neuvillette's beautiful face. Now, whatever the hell is in the future, that's none of my problem, none of my concern right now. We're just going to talk about right now. Right now, Wriothesley's kit is quite punishing if you don't play well. Wriothesley, I don't think anyone's going to argue, is more complex than Neuvillette, and that in of itself is a con. In this day and age, people who pull for characters, people who play characters, they use them to more often than not clear content. If somebody just joined the game and they have an option to choose Neuvillette or Wriothesley, apart from the really diehard fans that swings one way or the other, they're going to be looking at how easy it is to play this character. Compare Wriothesley with a dude that you can blindfold yourself, play with your kneecaps while you just swing your mouse around in a circle and have everything die, right? And then you have this dude who is a mage who has to use boxing to deliver lethal punches to enemies' faces, while both have to manage their health. Wriothesley has a punishment if your health drops too low, which means that there's another layer of difficulty when it comes to team pairing. People are like, oh, but Walrus, Wriothesley can regenerate his own HP. Well, yeah, so can Neuvillette, right? And you're gonna tell me if you play Wriothesley, you're not gonna bring a shielder, because if you don't bring a shielder and you just solely rely on that 30% health regen, you're gonna tell me you're gonna go into Abyss and never take a lethal hit from the enemy while he's up close and personal brawling his heart out. So if you fall too low in health, you also get punished. If you don't fall low enough, then you don't get certain damage bonuses. You see, this is a very conflicted character. While he's also close combat, sure, Neuvillette also has to channel his spell, but the man can move, spin, and do whatever the hell he wants, right? So comparative to these two characters, there's so many problems with Wriothesley, and CN players are the most realistic players on the planet. Out of all the markets, CN, Japan, Southeast Asia, Europe, NA, Korea, CN is and will always be by far the most critical server when it comes to character performance. It's not just about the looks, it's also about the numbers, it's also about the ease of use, it's also about the value of constellation and weapon. So now that we're talking about weapon, let's finalize this with the weapon. Wriothesley's weapon sucks ass, alright? For people who's wondering, you can take the Wanderer's weapon and use it on Wriothesley and reach, like, I don't know, 90% effectiveness. It's very close. That's all I know. So combine that with the character being, in my opinion, overly complex to pilot, and a weapon banner that is just asking you to pay because it's Wriothesley, because that's really what it is. You can use Wanderer's weapon on Wriothesley, and I swear to God, most of you guys won't even notice a damage difference. It's very minuscule. It's like 9%, 10% difference. On top of that, his weapon is very difficult to use on other Catalyst users. Yeah, get that right. Because his weapon requires you to get hit, and most Catalyst users really don't want to get hit, alright? He's the only Catalyst user running up to enemies, be like, hey, hit me, man, hit me. While all the other Catalyst users be like, hey, we probably would prefer a shielder on the team. So, for all the reasons mentioned, that's why Wriothesley flopped in CN. Now, I don't know if hoyoverse planned this, because I really hope they have a plan B for him to come back and make a big buck, because right now he has not made them jack comparative to other characters, of course. Yes, Furina's coming. We did mention that in the very beginning of the video, but I'm just telling you guys the facts. This is what CN players think, not what I think. There's plenty of issues right now with this character, and hopefully in the future, hoyoverse can release solutions to help him out a little bit. But thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next one, urge y'all to stay safe, peace, peace, lie.